Kent Hughes. Thank you for always keeping things so interesting. Now, we've already made a bunch of videos on this YouTube channel talking about how Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens didn't really do anything at the trade deadline. They made 0 trades. They stood pat. The team that entered Friday was the team that exited Friday, with Patrick Laine and all. There was some talk about a refused trade by the Montreal Canadiens, and there was conversation from David Pagnotta linking Montreal to Nazem Kadri. But ultimately, Nazem Kadri got traded back over to Colorado. The rest is history, and I think the Avalanche at this point are going to be Cup contenders. Is that a hot take? Is that a hot take? I don't know. Somebody tell me in the comment section below. I'm joking, by the way. But we had ourselves some other pieces of info about the Montreal Canadiens that were tweeted out and talked about in regards to what Montreal was actually trying to do at this year's trade deadline, and how a specific kind of player almost became a Hab. Take a look at this. Eric Engels tweeted out on deadline day, Kent Hughes said the Habs went down to the wire on a deal that didn't get consummated today, but a deal that could be done in the summer. He wouldn't say at what position, but he did say it would have been a big deal. We may have to wait for the draft to actually see what said deal was or would have looked like. I guess it's optimistic for Canadiens fans that want to see Kent Hughes make a big shakeup, a Noah Dobson-like trade, like he had done last year once more. But there was a post made by David Pagnotta that gives us a little bit of a hint. As mentioned, the Canadiens had something cooking. The Habs want guys who can fit into their long-term plan. So there's a hint right there. The Habs aren't getting old dudes. They're not getting 1, 2, 3-year rentals. They're not getting guys in their mid to late 30s. Does that put a dampen on the Nazem Kadri conversation we had the other day? Potentially so. But let's continue with some of these other tweets here. David Pagnotta, speaking on the Hello Hockey Show, said this: the Habs were very, very close to getting a defenseman. A right-shot defenseman. It was like right at the finish line. But the other team pulled back right at the last minute. And with that in mind, oh boy, hearing that the Montreal Canadiens, of course, were targeting guys that fit into their long-term plan, and that they were super close to getting a right-handed D-man at the deadline, it does open the door to questions as to whom it was they targeted. Which defensemen are right-handed and young enough to fit the Canadiens' long-term plan? Let's go out there and try to speculate here. HFTV Sports tweeted the same update. David Pagnotta mentioned that the defenseman that the Canadiens were targeting was not on an expiring contract. Who could it have been? So there's another hint. Right-handed shot, a guy who's probably young enough to fit in with the Canadiens' plan, and somebody who has a contract long-term. Let's go out there and read some of these replies debating whom it is the Canadiens could have been targeting. Adam Fox, Simon Nemec, Hage, a second and 2 firsts for Filip Hronek would have set Montreal up. Zach Whitecloud, Ristolainen, Simon Nemec is the correct answer. Underrated, but I think Filip Hronek could have been exactly that. It was rumored to be Nemec. There are other folks going out there and saying that Hronek would have been nice. And so with that, let's open the door to the New Jersey Devils as well as the Vancouver Canucks. Were we on the cusp of seeing a bald-to-bald trade between two GMs who definitely use the same amount of conditioner and shampoo between Kent Hughes and Patrick Allvin, or were the New Jersey Devils about to trade away Simon Nemec, a guy who is a highly touted second overall pick, potentially joining the first overall pick of that same year. Let's talk about both of them right here. So the interesting thing is, Simon Nemec actually doesn't have a contract for next year and beyond. He's on the last year of his entry level, but the fact that he is an entry-level player means that he has a lot of protection. It's not like his contract's going to expire and he'll become a free agent. The Devils will retain his rights. The interesting thing is the fact that Habs fans keep on mentioning Nemec's name, but I think that fits in with the profile because a lot of people are talking about young guys and right-handed guys and players that need changes of scenery. Nemec is fairly in that boat. This year he's got 21 points in 50 games, on pace for about 28 points, and he also was playing for Team Slovakia at the Olympics with Juraj Slafkovský. There's a nice person-to-person connection there between Nemec and players on the Habs, not to mention Filip Hronek, who also exists in this Canadiens organization. But when it comes to guys that are actually in that Canadiens age range, who have term on their contract, and who happen to be right-handed D-man, I'd say the best fit is Filip Hronek of the Vancouver Canucks. 28 years old, so he is a little bit older, but he is a guy drafted back in 2016. Keep in mind, Nick Suzuki was drafted in 2017. Hronek is in that exact same age range. 6 feet, 187, signed till the end of 2032, making $7.25 million. This is the exact dollar amount range that the Montreal Canadiens have a bunch of their guys signed to contracts at. You've got top forwards all at 7, you've got some of the top defensemen at 8 and 9. Filip Hronek, if he's making 7.2 and he's on Montreal's D-core, yes, it's true that he'll go from being the best defenseman on his team in Vancouver to probably the third best in Montreal. But having Hronek to stabilize the top 4 with the Habs will be absolutely devastating for any other team. Do you think the Canadiens are already a pretty strong team with Hudson, Dobson, Gooley, and Carrier in the top 4? Add Filip Hronek and wait and see just how good this D-core can really get. Filip Hronek this season is at 36 points in 63 games played, on pace for 47 points over 82. A decent season, all things considered, but when you look at the fact that this is roughly in line with some of the best production Hronek has had, and he's playing on the 2026 Vancouver Canucks, it all of a sudden becomes a lot more noteworthy. Not to mention the fact that at the Olympics, he was a point-per-game guy, and he was consistently Team Czechia's best defenseman. Filip Hronek made an incredible resume for himself over the past few months, between his stellar Olympic performance and the way he's been able to handle this Vancouver Canucks disaster of a year. So if Patrik Allvin was interested in trading this guy away, I'd be totally on board if it was Montreal to get a guy like Phil Hronek. Whether or not it's possible a trade could have looked like Hage and a second and 2 firsts or whatever, I would have loved a package like that. We already recognize that Patrik Allvin doesn't really want to trade away Phil Hronek. They think that this guy's the next captain. There's a lot of potential out of what Hronek has in store long-term for the Canucks. But I'd say that most Canucks fans can agree that if you want to go balls-to-the-wall rebuild, you want to fully commit to the future, Filip Hronek at 28 years old is a pretty fine candidate to trade away. Grab yourself as much value as you can long-term. Noah Dobson got 2 firsts at the draft last year. Filip Hronek doesn't even need to go for that much. As long as he goes for a decent amount, I think Canucks fans would be happy. But with that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Who was it that you think the Montreal Canadiens nearly acquired back at the trade deadline? A right-shot defenseman, we're going to assume it's somebody that can fit into their long-term plan, and a guy who had term. Thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think it was Simon Nemec, Filip Hronek, somebody else come to mind? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.